Hello. If you have ever wanted to become a web developer or build website, even if you want to build your own, it's a very good chance for you. A full stack web developer knows how to build websites that is beautiful and at the same time knows how to build websites that work some tasks, make some tasks easy, and that is why we call these people a full stack web developer. What it means is that this person masters the UX UI experience, part of the web development, and also master the client side, the server side at the same time. For instance, to become a front web developer, you need HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's all. But to become a full stack, that is front end and back end, you need HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, even a lot of knowledge about DNS, web hosting, web infrastructures, depending on the technology you want to use for your website. So we want to teach you first the front end web development by starting with HTML course, then CSS, and then JavaScript. Then alongside later in the course in the day, we're going to teach the remaining. After this video, the next video that follows is lesson 1 to 22 of HTML course, and that entire lesson on HTML lasts approximately 30 minutes. So in just 30 minutes, you can just learn HTML. HTML lesson 1 and 2. Lesson 1, HTML, representing hypertext markup language used to create web pages using HTML tag, used to display web content on the screen using the body tag, and also the design and style using the style tag alongside the CSS. You have to install Sublime Text. Just search it on your browser and your Chrome. Anyway, install it and then open it. You're going to see a window that looks like this. This is where you type all your code inside and run. And then after installation, let's understand the format. This is the format of HTML document. Starting with HTML, then head inside the HTML body. Let's complete the lesson in the Sublime Text that we have just installed. In this place, I've used the format very well. As you can see, the HTML, the head has some content. There are some other new styles. Then the main format is the HTML, the head, and now the head closes at this point. And now the body has opened, the body has closed at this point. Then the entire document is closed using the HTML. So inside the body, you've seen a lot of stuff. You're going to learn about them later. But before then, the section of the code that is faint, that is a comment. Comment represents a part of a group of code that the browser does not execute. You use it to explain stuff for the developer who is going to use the code. Then at this point, you learn it when you're doing CSS. This is a style to keep the body. Now let's see the output. This is the content of this code. This is the output when run. After saving it, it will take the logo of your browser, default browser. Then when you run it, this is the output. You want to see something like this. Welcome to lesson 3 and 4. In lesson 3, we are going to create your first HTML page. And in lesson 4, you're creating a blog. I want you to open your Sublime Text editor. You're going to write the first HTML code. I'll give us the first page. HTML files are text files, so you can use an editor. I've already told you to install one of the recommended editors so far. This is exact structure of the HTML file. The HTML tag, the head tag, close body tag. So I want you to type this piece of code on your editor and save it as my first project. You can save it at any name you want. Let me show you what I'm saying. You're going to type this in your first editor. This is editor. You can see my code is already here. My first lesson, that is the title I've given it. Make sure you have everything that is typed here. Save it. Give it any name. And make sure you know the folder you're saving it into. So you can see the colors of some tags have changed. Minimize this though and go to where you saved it. where I save my own first site. It's going to take the logo of your default browser. Take note of that. I'm going to open it. So this is a website. You can see my first lesson. You have to understand that the title element is very important because it describes the page and is used by the search engine. So this title element. So let's proceed to the blog, creating a blog. You're going to see a lot of code in this course over time. You don't have to be afraid. You're going to master them. What you have to do in each section is to perform all the given tasks each time it appears. To create a blog, to your own blog, this is what you're going to do. Type all this code in your text editor and save it, then open it in your browser and make sure it sits. What's going to appear, your blog is going to have only the title after you finish this task. Then we'll proceed on the next thing to add. We are going to add additional features in lesson 5. Welcome to lesson 5. We'll be viewing the subsequent lessons on the browser. The first element we are going to add to our website is the paragraphs. The P element means the paragraph element, opening and closing tags. This is how it is. Inside the body tag, you're going to put the P element, and this is another paragraph with another P element. At this point, I want you to type this HTML code inside your editor, save it, open it in the browser to see what your blog looks like this time around. Understand that it is good for you to type as a beginner. If you copy and paste, it will not help you. This is a line of text. This is the result of your first page. You can see the title, the paragraph. You've added the two paragraphs to your blog page. Single line break. You can use this tag, include this portion in your code. A line break. Save it and go back to the browser. This is a line break. At this point, we are going to lesson 6. Formatting element. Formatting makes you able to make some text bold and some italicized and so on. I want you to study their functions. Type this code inside your editor, save it and run it. You're going to see their functions there. You can see this output. Headings, lines, and comments. You use H1 to H6 tags to identify a heading for an element. Type this code into your editor and save it, or you edit your last blog project. There's it. You save it and open it in the browser. There's the result. Horizontal lines. To create horizontal lines, you use this tag. If you want to create 2, you include it twice. Look at it here. You come here and refresh it. This is it. And then comment. Comments display a section of the HTML code the browser does not execute. This is the syntax for comments. This is the opening and this is the closing syntax. I've just added comment to this section. I've saved it. Let me refresh. It's not going to display anything. Back to lesson 8, blog project, about me. Go back to the blog project. Again, add some of the syntaxes, some of the tags and elements you've learned so far, and make a beautiful blog using the HTML. This is the output of your blog, and at this point we're through with lesson 8. HTML element. A complete HTML document comprises of nested elements, that is a combination of tags. For example, this is HTML. That's an element on its own. This is a head. That's an element on its own. You can see this head element is inside the HTML element. Very few HTML elements have opening tags but no closing tag. For instance, the line break element is just like this. Understand that this is also a line break and this also is a line break. You can use either of these two. Then HTML attributes. Attribute provide additional information for an HTML element or a tag. It is this attribute structure that makes it easy for CSS, that is cascading styling sheet, to be embedded in HTML elements so that the website will have some beautiful feel. You can add colors, some functionalities using HTML attributes. In this code, we want to align to the center the heading of the blog about me. So we add an attribute align to and the value is going to be a center. You can see the about me is now located at the center of the page. Attributes also can have some measurement like in width and height or pixels. An example, we can modify the horizontal line so it has a width of 50 pixels using this code. Once again, this is the HTML element. This is the HTML attribute, the element attribute, and this is the value. This is also another attribute, and this is the value. It is not a must for an element to have an attribute, but every attribute must have a value. HTML have this element or this tag that will help embed an image to a website. This is the img tag with our src attribute, and the link to the image is going to be the value of the email to the image, which also means your image must be online for it to be loaded. Then lt or alt attribute specifies an alternate text should an image refuse to load given maybe network problem or a broken link. So you also, when defining or trying to put an image using the image source attribute, you're also going to add another attribute alternative text and include alternative text. The value is going to be anything entirely up to you that explains the photo or the picture you're trying to image insert into this app. Image resizing, you can, the height and the width attribute helps you give the images the size that suit or that fit into the space you want them to appear. An image can also have a border. The image tag with source attribute gives you the value or the link of the image, loading it to the page. The height and the width, they may set the sizes. Then the border makes you design or decide how the edges of the images should look like. So let's do this in practice using the text editor and see what is going to come up. Alright, this is my definition of my image. You can see I've embedded them here. This is a link to the images image I'm going to use here. For example, it's actually the logo of this. I'm going to load this on the browser. Beautiful. You can see the output here. The alternative text is the perfect logo. Let's try to load this image. I need to put the data connection on and see if it's going to load beautifully as is defined. Very good. Now the image is loaded. You can see how beautifully it looks. The website must be able to link to another website, and that's even the reason it is a website in the first place. So the A tag, or we call it the anchor, is what handles that ability to link websites, web pages if to one another. For instance, This is how you're going to do it. The A is the element or the tag. The ref or href attribute have the value of the link to the site you want to visit. And before closing, you're going to declare this. This is the opening tag, and inside the opening tag you declare the attribute and the value. Then you write what must be visible to the users who are going to read and understand where the link is going to head them or take them to. Then after you close it with the anchor closing tag, like the way you're seeing it here. This is the link element, this is the attribute, and this is the value, and this is the details. Lane coding, that means if you click this lane coding or the user click this lane coding, it's going to take the user to www.perfect.com. Type this code and take it your editor and try to open it in a browser. Let's see what's going to be the result. I've just done that, and the browser when loaded, this is lane coding. You see, you click this link, it's taking you to a website that teaches you coding, which is www.perfect.com. Take note, this target attribute, if it is blank, this is the value. Blank underscore blank makes it open in a new tab. List. There are two types of list for an HTML document. We have the ordered list and the unordered list. What we mean by ordered and unordered is actually numbered and unnumbered list. There are some list of items that you won't see numbers, you may be seeing bullet or some shapes behind. And there are some lists that have numbers like 1, 2, 3. Look at this code. Starting from this place that you're seeing the comments, the following code embed ordered and unordered list to this page. And see the output here. At this point, you're going back to your blog to make some editing, add the formatting, the color, the images, and the list to your blog. You can send your output as a picture file on the comments in the comment section. Creating a table. The table tag is the principle, like the wrap. Everything related to the table must be under this table tag. This table opening and closing tags. This is a table, fine. This is a definition of or beginning of the table rows. This TD tags, table data, is actually the content of each row. Table data tags act as data containers within the table, and they can also contain any kind of HTML element, even if it is image, list, or the table. So you can also color your table depending on. By the time we get to CSS, it will be very clear, but already you know this is a table element, this is the attribute, and the value is 2. The blog project, my schedule. In this particular part, you're going to design a schedule of your, like a kind of a timetable of how you engage or you use your time, and you're going to do that using the table, HTML table. Now, how is your coding timetable looking like? This is my own. Starting from here in HTML code, this is exactly how my schedule is. We're gonna run this code right now. Look at it here in the browser and the editor. This is where table elements start here. So let's see this code in the browser. Thank you. You have seen the output here. Play around this code and get yourself fully informed on this topic, because the next topic we're gonna really rely on the knowledge of this particular segment. Inline and block elements. Most elements in HTML are block level elements. These elements have their contents begin on a new line. Inline elements do not come with a line break. Right now, form elements are inserted in a web page using the form tag. Now the form need to be filled, and the form also need to be sent for processing. That happens with giving some attribute or using some attribute of the HTML that actually work with the form element. Inside your form opening tag, the action element, the action attribute will tells you or asks for which site or which page should open immediately the user submits the form. The method attribute will have actually two options. Where should the information the user has filled in the form go? If you say get, the user inputs or data will be displayed on the tab on the same browser. If you say post, it will be posted to the server for processing. It's advisable you use post for server side processing authentication of your sensitive information like password or email for your website. We are going to also learn about input, the type attribute, telling you what type of information you want to collect. Is it a text like username? If it is email, the type is going to be email. If it is password, the type is going to be password. Without wasting time, this other type can also be radio, like a box that you can click or unclick to accept or reject an offer or select a multiple choice, one out of multiple choices. Then the checkbox for normally used when the user's consent for privacy is needed. Let's collect this code inside the editor, and you can see this other attribute placeholder is a kind of what displays inside each of the box, telling the user what kind of information is needed in the box. Let's run this code and see. This is the output, the in placeholder. You can actually shorten it to be like its name. Some people, you don't want to refresh this and say name, email, password. Into lesson 19. In most websites, you see this page. It makes you able to send a message to the company or to the site administrator. I want to show you the HTML part of adding this to a web page or a blog. That was a contact form. To add a contact form to a web page, you use the form element still, the input tab, the input and every other parameters. And what is unique about this particular one is the text area, which makes it easy or provide a window or a space for you to type any text message and send. This is the code here. And when you submit it, this is the output. You'll be able to understand this better when you type this code in your own editor and practice by yourself. HTML colors. There are some formats, but the one I'm going to show you is three: the RGBA format, the hexadecimal format, and the specific color names format. At this place right now, I am using RGBA. Just ignore the style. I'll show you when I'm teaching you CSS, but at least this will help you understand how to insert colors. We are going to talk about this again later on. This is RGBS. This is the current color of the background, of the H1 element you see on the web page, this particular element. What about the background? Look at the current color. The background is in the hexadecimal color. What about this particular fill element? Please fill the form element. That is the P element, and the color is white. At this point, you have learned about three formats for defining or putting a color to HTML element, or making an HTML element have the color you want. You can either call the specific color names, the RGB, or define the RGBA values, or use the hexadecimal